2026 at 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is 069 State Marshal Mike Blunt. I am here with...
Chief of Police Matt Rhoades.
Very good. This is a voluntary recorded interview. Before we get started, I will advise you of your rights. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney, and if you can't afford one will be provided by the state if one is available. Do you understand those rights?
Yep.
Okay. The last we spoke, there was a declination to proceed with the verbal interview. That was followed by a request for a written statement on the matter. My understanding since then is you wish to engage in a conversation. Is that correct? Correct. Okay.
A week later.
Well, the reason I didn't want to fill out the paperwork is because a lot of the questions are worded specifically, like, I don't know if it's the first 5, 6, 7, 8, specifically state that Kyle Pred was fired. But okay, they don't state he was fired, but all the questions are worded as rehired, which implies he was fired.
And
that's not the case. And so I want to make sure that that's clarified before.
Yo, PD is doomed already. PD's doomed.
Anything further, sort of continues. In saying that, you can ask countless people, Brian included. I'm very much so a firm belief that as it currently stands with how legislation is written,
Brian included,
mayors don't have the ability to remove. Unfortunately, it's kind of just gone uncontested for, gosh, what are we at, a year and a half now?
Yo, this is slimy as fuck already.
This DOJ / legislation system, if you will. And not a single person has challenged that. From my understanding, Pred does intend on doing so. But point still stands, because they were all worded as Pred being rehired, and me not believing that to be true, I didn't feel it acceptable to just put a not applicable to an overwhelming majority of your questions.
Okay. What would you describe the process of him being reissued keys then?
This is why our system in 4.0 I think is busted, and why Nino wrote like so much. It's because even in law, nothing needs to necessarily read exactly. This is more of a hello?
Hey. Yeah, I actually just got here.
Do you need any help?
Okay. All right. Perfect. See you soon. Bye. Bye-bye. Sorry. I'm meeting one of the marshals. They called me and asked
okay.
questions.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit.
Here.
Forgot to grab food.
Work, so.
Yeah, that's why on Nino I had to write everything because people are too lazy to read.
They're really filling, so just
Awesome, thank you.
don't overeat.
Awesome, appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
You stay safe.
yeah, you too.
Oh my God.
Well, he was suspended per the marshals for the situation, and so the court case concluded and therefore unsuspended. Also,
This sounds like
for
fun.
legislation.
Okay. And who made the decision to unsuspend him as opposed to terminate him?
Well, I can't really terminate someone of the same rank. But if you are inquiring as to just the unsuspension, I guess technically me, it wasn't really an unsuspension. The suspension was over
What?
because the marshal suspension lasts until it's concluded in court.
Okay. And again, the mayor appointed you as the chief of police, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And
Is
your
he-
contention is that that point, Kyle Pred was still also the chief of police.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, because he wasn't fired.
This sound. I'm gonna put a gun in my mouth in character. I think that he needs to be impeached purely on like net incompetence.
Well, inherently, by appointing a new chief of police, does that not replace the prior chief of police?
I can't believe we're going down this road.
No, I don't agree with that.
Robert, first time
For a
I've seen
variety
you
of
on
different
duty.
reasons.
What's going on, buddy?
Unfortunately, none really
I was just
explored
dealing
by
with
the
a coward
DOJ
at
because
MRPD, but
no
Okay.
one, including Turner, even though I really wanted him to.
Really
Has
big
been
face
willing
when
to
it's
argue
24/7
that-
Lady Bravo right next to BCSO.
Why do I hear? Didn't I turn off the radio? I did.
Here doesn't
Coward.
have that ability and has just sort of accepted it as the
Ah,
norm,
must have been you then.
even though it shouldn't be.
They drove off pretty quick. Like,
I'm a firm believer in a sort of stable foundation for PD, and I think a rotating high command every 90 days is idiotic, stupid, brainless, and all the more reason it should be brought in front of the DOJ to finally clarify as to whether or not they do have the authority to fire.
Why wouldn't you do this through a regular
Additionally,
process?
It becomes this really tricky aspect of does the not the Department of Justice, but if a mayor were to have this ability, hypothetically,
Okay.
what does it actually qualify as? Do they have the ability to fire? Is it a demotion? If they can demote the highest rank, can they not do it to the remainder of the department? It becomes a very tricky, sort of slippery slope, if you will.
No, it doesn't.
And like ultimately, where does this person end up? If they were previously a captain, do they become a captain? If they were just an officer, do they slot right back down to officer? Are they just out of the department in its entirety?
Wouldn't that
very
be up to the
tricky.
new chief of police?
No, I don't quite.
Why would the new
undecided.
chief of police not have the authority to run the department as they see fit?
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to all of this, mayor stuff and whatever, again, I am a very.
I'm
firm
glad
believer they
he's
don't have
letting
that
him just
ability. And
talk.
if they want to, their mechanical arm to do so is an ACR or impeachment. If they want to fire someone, they can with an impeachment. And at that point, the DOJ will have deemed it egregious enough to where it's worthy of being fired, and then there's no point of contention. They're just gone.
Well, regardless of impeachment or not, your own SOPs state that it's a cardinal
No, but that
violation
doesn't
and
matter.
immediate
It's still,
termination to have
hold
any
on.
fel-
The argument doesn't hold any water because just because there is a avenue to get rid of someone does not change the fact that there's reasons that they're heads of departments. If tomorrow Springfield decides to go and stab somebody, or like in the case of like Gunnar Kane and Bobby, who were committing crimes and breaking the oath, it's why I needed to fire them. You don't just throw your hands up and this is pretty much saying the marshals need to do our job for us and the public needs to do our job for us. This is actually insane to me because the thing is, this sounds intelligent. Maybe if you're only thinking about it in like an extreme vacuum, but the implication of what's being said is far worse. Because if you then go down that argument, you then are going to need to be mandated to maintain record. What is record of firing? Record of firing is the absence of keys. Pred himself has stated that he was fired. To make a post facto argument, like he's quite literally lying on this. I'm very, which actually is a greater concern, right? Because, oh my God, this opens up so many doors. All right, so, God damn it. This is gonna be so shitty. This draws into Rhoades' credibility regardless of the outcome of Rhoades' and Pred's impeachment, as it draws into question him as a person and a law enforcement officer. Any cases impeachment. Yeah, we need to completely dumpster him, I think. At this point, I think we're like morally obligated to.
felony conviction, does it not?
Mm, I'd have to reference that.
We can do that. Give me a moment.
I'd expect it to say so for what it's worth.
What?
Refer you to report number 32851.
32851.
All the way at the bottom, cardinal violations, immediate termination.
It does say that here, yeah.
Okay. And so you thought it prudent with felony criminal convictions to reissue him keys as opposed to continue to leave him in a state where he did not have keys or MDT access as the chief of police?
Okay, so again, that's definitely another point of contention.
What?
Legally, at that point, he was not suspended and was technically of equal rank.
Huh? Wait! 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 I didn't pick up on this. Rhoades thinks that Pred was chief of police. Yo, to the streamer who plays Rhoades, I hate you in the most loving way I can say so. You're such a shitlord. What the fuck is this? Kirby's a letter. I was like, what? It's so fucking ridiculous. Moss is still chief. Yeah. Yeah, ipso facto, every existing chief is still chief. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make an argument that due to the fact that SASM has fundamentally been the one having to micromanage LSPD as a consequence. Wait, this is actually an argument for the suspension of the department. Unless the department itself, if the department itself does not admit has like also believes this, then we should suspend the department pending an audit, and after which we should make a argument that any chief that is put in place needs to go through like a secondary like vetting process. In other words,
You know,
Okay.
it's insulting being lumped in with the rest of the 1%.
Cretin.
Okay. That
With
doesn't excuse the
no
felony criminal
impeachment.
convictions.
Well, I'm not saying it excuses the criminal conviction.
So you're saying you're incapable of terminating somebody of the same rank with a felony criminal conviction?
When they are of the highest rank, yeah, that becomes a little difficult.
How did
I-
the decision
I
to reissue
expected-
him keys get made?
What do you mean?
Who made the decision?
Again, legally, he was not suspended at that point.
Okay. Did he request his keys be reissued? Or did you reissue the keys?
No, he doesn't. Jersey, that's inaccurate. Oh, it stopped. I was like, wait, what the fuck? Yeah, I thought it was a long pause too.
Trying to remember here. I don't know the exact timeline on that, actually. Yeah, I don't actually know the exact timeline on that.
Okay.
However, he did have keys for, I think, all of 3 hours until the impeachment went up.
Okay. So why not just raise this to the attention of folks rather than plan to reissue him keys for an extended period of time prior to doing so?
Because blunt stuff will never, ever, 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 ever be put in front of the DOJ unless, quite frankly, I'm not going to say unless it's forced. But the best way to describe it is, this was a situation in which no harm done. Also, to clarify, Pred is unable to currently have any MDT access. To sort of circle back to the prior stuff. Specifically because you cannot issue him anything right now because the staff profile is gone. Now, that being said, again, unless this stuff is brought in front of a judge or the DOJ, nothing's ever going to change and we're never going to get clarity.
Yes, you
Wait, but
can.
your position, if I understand correctly, is that you were unable to terminate him as a co-chief of police.
Correct.
And that the only method by which to remove him was impeaching him.
Correct, yes.
So why not approach the marshals prior to reissuing him keys and asking for him to be impeached?
I, quite frankly, expected it. I thought it was going to be immediate as soon as the court case was done. Regardless of his intent to appeal,
I mean,
just
I did
expected
tell
that
them
was
to
gonna
do
happen.
it, but it becomes irrelevant because he was inherently fired. So there becomes
Now,
no
in
need.
saying that, I can understand where people would be coming from regarding the announcement of me as chief of police, and drawing the conclusion that Kyle Pred had been
The thing is, it becomes irrelevant because that argument has no legs. Because by virtue of him being a felon, by virtue of his no longer having keys, by virtue of a new chief being put in place, you would have administratively, he would be defunct. And while it is true we could have continued to drag Pred, let's be honest here. After he was let go, the last thing we were going to do is put the streamer or the people involved through more headache, because obviously there was a lot of, when you fire someone or you do something like that, people are going to be, you know, understandably in a place, right? We're going to go and like also then impeach them just to make their life even more miserable. We were just simply doing our job. With that being said, to argue to make that argument is setting a very dangerous tone in general. That's number one. But even if, yeah, exactly. This is effectively saying that you should completely like farm someone to death, right? Which is just not something we're going to do, because I think it's just unhealthy, quite frankly. Especially when, but the second thing, is regardless of whether or not we did impeach him and make that a matter of record, does not change the fact that Pred was not the chief. If Rhoades believed he's the chief, he would have had to have gotten that clarity from someone instead of self-defining it, which he's done here. Right? In other words, that would have required like Denzel to admit it, or some other authority outside of Rhoades' mind to believe as such. It would further infer like that Turner was never fired, that Moss was never fired, and therefore where is the record of that, right? Like it goes against convention, and here's the beauty of the law, right? The legal system inherently is based on the concept of like reasonable, and there's another word for it. It's like if things are like the norm, that becomes like expect. Like for example, if it's normal to only do construction at like 9 a.m. No, that's not a good example. Okay, I wish I remember the word. Yeah, cultural norms. Like someone like cleaning their asshole in the middle of the street, even if it might be normal to that person, doesn't mean it's going to be considered normal to everyone. No, no, there's a legal term for it.
And fired, but that isn't what happened.
But if that's your position, why not raise that to the marshals prior to taking this action?
I kind of just expected it to happen, if I'm being honest.
Did you tell anybody
why?
else you were planning to do that before doing so?
Waiting for marshals?
No,
That portion?
Days prior to reissuing Kyle Pred keys, did you have conversations with other individuals indicating your intent to do so?
Yes.
Did you indicate that the reason that you intended to do so was because you felt an impeachment needed to be filed?
Yes.
Why not say that to the marshals instead of the folks that you said it to? Or in addition to?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really keep quiet at all what I was intending on doing. It wasn't a well-kept secret. I was practically screaming it from the rooftops. Did I go specifically to a marshal and state this? No.
You said it to literally everybody except the one department
Oh
that
my
you expected
Lord,
to do
have
something about
mercy.
it. Why?
I don't quite know. I mean, I will take fault for that. I probably should have gone to a marshal. However, a lot of what I was doing was trying to figure out best course of action to deal with the situation at hand. In addition to hopefully ensuring some of these legal loopholes, if you will, get closed up once and for all, and we no longer have to deal with the stupid writing or understanding of the legislation.
What?
So do I take fault for not approaching a marshal? Yes, absolutely. Did I anticipate that it get back to the marshals?
Wait,
Also,
hold on
yes,
a second.
Absolutely.
P2 450. I would argue that based on what has been stated and admitted to, thus far, one could make an argument that there was an attempt to subvert the authority of this state. The rhetoric surrounding the law just being dumb and subverting it all by hiring a felon into back and giving access to that individual back into the police department. Let me ask you, like, the question I'm drawing to myself is, if one should not at least consider that, I'm not saying it necessarily would fit, but if I gave Flippy keys, then claimed he ran the police department, now, as Brian Knight, if I give Flippy keys right now and I say, well, the law is stupid and the law is gray because it says that the mayor gets to choose the chief of police, but it doesn't say that I can't also choose a chief of police, and I just come up with some bullshit like that, but I give him keys, and demonstratively he's able to access, you know, the poor Flippy. We always use Flippy as an example. It's so funny. Poor guy, probably, like, if he's ever watching my stream, is like, why fuck me? Why is Mehdi always using Flippy as a criminal example? So give him keys. Nothing says in law that I can't. Nothing says, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It has to do it because the laws are dumb. If that's not treason, then what the fuck is? Right? In this paradigm of San Andreas. That would only make sense if Flippy was chief before. What does Flippy's status have anything to do with it? Flippy's status before or afterwards has no bearing on the argument. Because the inherent justification, yeah, that has no bearing. That has nothing to do with the argument. That might be what Rhoades might be trying to concoct as an argument. Yeah, because the argument boils down to it's not written, therefore I did this in order to make the law fix, because what's happening here, and it's a straw man argument, and it's a what is it called, like a fucking it's effectively creating a straw man argument. But it's also called like a self-sequester. You're creating a false premise. It's a false premise to state that by law, the entire argument is effectively by law, there is that this loophole exists when it doesn't actually. No one admits to that premise to begin with. It's a false premise. Yeah, there is no loophole. That's the thing. There is no need for there to be anything that claims whether or not a, you know, you're arguing such semantics at that point. A non-sequester, yeah. Thank you. That might be it. Yes, and let's continue listening.
Considering it was not a secret in the slightest. I will make that very clear. In fact, I was specifically told that the marshals were aware. Now, does that change anything? Not really. But yeah, that's where I stand.
During those conversations, was the term rehired used?
No. In fact, even in my announcement, I never used the term rehired.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute. However, earlier he states that Pred was a chief and therefore could not do anything to his position. But then later makes him ass chief.
Angel was present. He was present for that. I'm not sure if any of the marshals were.
Okay. And then from the announcement, my understanding is that he was appointed to the rank of assistant chief of police. Is that correct?
Yeah, but not technically. It was very much so a mutual discussion where essentially he was stepping down, which then created the dynamic in which I could fire him when the impeachment was up.
Why not fire him before the impeachment went up?
There were some additional things, some gosh, more glaring loopholes.
What is
that I currently
happening?
take issue with.
Bro. Okay. I love this so much. I need to find out if
that I also hope this resolves. For example, if you were to take a look at the charge of criminal possession of a government-issued firearm, there's zero mention of a license. Also indicates, now I've already brought this portion up to Angel, regarding the off-duty bit. I can assume what the intention there was, but as it currently stands, because there's no mention of license and you're allowed off-duty, that legally it seems to not be an issue, which I deem problematic. But obviously, SOP violation if someone were to. So it's not like it's being like abused, if you will, or taken advantage of. Definitely worthy of a loophole not existing.
Okay. Are you aware that by reissuing Kyle Pred keys, he was issued a weapons license?
I think on a technicality with how the weapons license stuff is written, I don't think it matters, because with how it's worded, there's no mention of like, oh, hey Springfield. Hello. With how it's worded, there's no mention of oh gosh, let me rephrase. With how it's worded, I think just being on duty as a police officer
Look at
is
you.
the qualifier.
Why are they watching? It's a quality selection of daytime program. Do I have to present every single show myself?
Are you aware that after he was rehired, or after his keys were reissued, he purchased a government-issued firearm from the armory?
I was aware in conversation with Pred when he was fired. Yes.
What measures were taken to secure that equipment after his termination?
He had indicated that all of his stuff had been placed in a locker, and I did verify with records that everything was in his locker. I want to say excluding could be wrong, I want to say it was a magazine, and I suspect that to have been potentially what Bruce found. I haven't run into Bruce. I did in passing yesterday or the day before, and I intended on asking him. But I also didn't want there to be an overlap, because I suspect that you guys are probably also looking into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say everything else was accounted for, I believe.
Okay. When we asked you a similar question the last time we spoke, do you remember
As someone who played Nino for a year and then played now Brian, I think I would argue out of anyone else on the server, I have the most experience when it comes to this legal system. Having used it to my advantage in in cases of Nino, but also ending up altering my character just because like I realized I think this system is way too complicated for the average player base. But because this is GTA Online, that's the second thing. I'm saying it generically, right? I also think it's too rigid, which is why I think we got stuck in these things where now, we're dealing with things like Spooderman and Darkstone might be illegal. It's a little too rigid because there's desires for certain things, but you can't really do them unless you're looking to get fired, in other ways, right? And it's a cool idea. I liked it a lot. I loved it. But I think history has shown over the last 2 years, unfortunately, it doesn't work because I think most people just either are ignorant to how it works, either intentionally or not intentionally. We're talking about characters here. Who knows about, the players? But I think because most people want to just come in and like play and don't want to think about like the deep philosophies of a legal system. You almost need a legal system that's very like cut and dry. And I do think having ways for the public to engage in the law is good. But I'm going to tell you what I think is a better system. I think this system being left to admin characters, right? And they don't have to be like admins, but they should be like under the guise of administration, is that it should be like some authority that does not actively really play on the server, but may have other characters in it that people can go to them and be like, petition like $100,000. Where I'm trying to go with this is that everyday characters being able to directly engage with the law, I think just doesn't work because most either don't know, don't care to educate themselves, which makes sense, right? People are barely educated of IRL stuff. I'm not saying people on the server. I'm saying like in general, right? Like as to what's going on. They're not going to fuck with like a pretend make-believe one. I think we've learned it, right? In practice. I think it was cool. But I feel like if this same system was not managed by IC characters that have IC motivators, right? But everyday players like departments and people could petition, right, to those entities, right? Like imagine there was like a player run Congress, but that Congress should not be active on the server, right? Because the moment you have activeness on the server, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who it is. 99% are always gonna, like, I mean, that's why we don't have like the fucking, you have like a Congress. That Congress, maybe could even engage with like, I'm hypothesizing here, right? I'm just saying this system is dope. I benefited from it monetarily too. I mean, Nino was fucking so much fun to play with it. But I don't think most people care about this system that much anymore. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't really know. But some of the like pedantic parts of this needs to just be solved by a different entity. Because yeah, like maybe like exactly like a Congress, maybe you throw like an admin or two in there to make sure it's not like, any weird shit's happening or whatever. And it just like because the value of it would be breaking it down like this. I think most players are going, because this is GTA roleplay, it is a cool concept that players can interact with the government, but I think the means by which they interact with it requires too high of a learning curve of what the system is. And as can be seen, even when you change DOJs, right, people, it's a good thing, right? There's a lot of good factors to it. But everyone has such different perceptions on what should be that they sort of implant their mentality of what should be into the limited amount of words that exist. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? You could read the sentence in law that the mayor dictates who the mayor is. The mayor gets to pick who the chief of police is, but 10 different people, because of just general lack of legal understanding, can look at that 10 different ways. And the problem is that you could say, well, okay, that's a good thing, but it creates these scenarios that I just think are just not really conducive to, it's not just this, it's like across the board as to like, even like the arguments of like getting rid of enemy of the state. Enemy of the state was created by me and Capped to, number one, make it so that people, like, I spoke to him about it, right? We put it in place because we're like, okay, we'll put this, and we went through official in-character stuff, right? But, like, you know, it was, you know, the idea behind it was pretty simple. The big boys could get enemy of the state, but the people that are involved in crime would get hit by, like, this effectively similar to gang-related shooting charge. So that way, you know, people aren't tied up in you know, in prison for a week. Like, imagine you go do a faceless mission and you get caught, and now you're stuck on a 72-hour hold for terrorism or treason. That charge might not stick, but you're still there in 3 days. That charge was great, but it took us like 2 months to actually eventually get to that. But, you know, and now it's getting challenged, which, you know, it was brought up a couple times, and I guess we can do it. Like, Brian Knight, the character, might literally just be like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, get rid of it. See what happens. And now motherfuckers are going to be stuck in prison for 3 days, right? As we investigate. And then potentially get put on a hut charge. So on and so forth. It would mean significantly more uninteresting, boring paperwork for the marshals and other law enforcement, which means that they don't actually go out on patrol and do the fun shit, right? But it also means that for those that are partaking in the enemy of the state stuff, they're going to be stuck in prison. You know what I mean? So that was a really good middle ground, and things like that I think are very good, because what happens is you look at the state of the server, which changes every couple months, and you put forward charges and things that are applicable and more conducive to RP for everybody, right? But everything else, like, you know, like the VAF legislation, I heard that's coming back. That's been a thing for like a year and a half. None of that. It doesn't work. Don't work. I think that's what I'd like to see. You have a legal system that's very thorough, but you have a Congress of people that are not in-game characters. They could be in-game characters, but they just don't interface with the regularity of the world. Like, don't join gangs, don't get married. They're considered like above it all. And maybe, you know, like cops or whatever can petition that entity, and that entity does the work. Yeah, a player-run Senate, or maybe like a mix a mix, maybe like closed door if it's a conversation that needs to touch on like OOC reasons for law change, or maybe like open Senate hearings where it's like doesn't do that. So like, for example, let's say, you know, instead of the 2-month process it took for getting the enemy of the state stuff going, you'd have like a closed door hearing on the Senate with the Senate, and then you just argue those matters, right? But if it was something like changing the speeds on the road, that would be like that'd be an in-city Senate hearing or Congress hearing or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It doesn't really matter what the fuck the name is, right? Call it Senate, call it whatever. I think something like that would be good so that players can still interface with the actual government itself. But it would remove some of the cost, because the thing is, yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it needs to. I mean, I think players can do it. I think there's, you know. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. The TLDR of where I'm going with this is I think the legal system is too complicated for the average player who probably wants to come in and just RP, right? I'm going to even go as far as saying that's kind of why I think the heads of departments should be not decided by players either, because I think for it to run good, you need to make server health decisions at the end of the day. That's my, like, you know, that's what I think personally, and that's not something that, you know, just that entity needs to do, because there's not everyone can do that, right? But then again, you could, and then you just empower the process to resolve things in character through the legislative system is too egregious for most players that to experience. And it's a lot of work that overall does not, I think, create a enjoyable experience for the individuals being quote unquote targeted, I think. So something in between would be nice, I think. I'm just kind of thinking how it could look like in 5.0, because I wouldn't want to get rid of, I wouldn't like to see the entire system removed, but I think maybe altered a bit. Well, there's nothing wrong with having an SBS mayor. There's nothing wrong with, I think, necessarily having like SBS chiefs or criminal chiefs, but I think the process by which those things are navigated, we're not even talking about that. Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna get back to it.
Responding what equipment?
Possibly, but I don't recall the question. I can be very pedantic. I'm not going to sit here in front. So if the question was worded anywhere in the capacity of Pred being rehired, that likely would have been my answer. But I'm unsure because, again, I don't remember the question.
Do you mind if I join in? I'm sorry if I'm...
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you're good. You're good.
Springfield is joining
Is this
the
a
conversation.
Mirandized conversation or...
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Oh, I will also say this. My lack of compliance in that interrogation room was for no other reason aside from the fact that it felt like an ambush. Whether intentional or not, walking in with damn near, 10 people or however many people there was very off-putting. And that's just not really an environment like in which I felt was like, I'm not going to say appropriate. I'm not going to tell y'all how to do your job. I can just tell you from my perspective, it didn't feel okay.
I will tell you, we only came down there with 4 people, and then as we walked from the door down to the interrogation cells, the gaggle of pretty much anybody that we walked by just started following.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
That's just kind of the typical.
All I know is I was in the room with Richard. I walk out with every intent to 42, unrelated to everything that was going on. And as I'm walking out of the room, you guys are walking in. You guys are already in the hallway, and then there's just an additional group of people also walking in through the double doors. And then everyone's sort of like filing into the observation room. Do I have an exact count? No. But my best guess would have been there was damn near, 10 people all walking in pretty much at the same time. Seemed like a coordinated thing. Obviously, I'm ignorant to the actual facts, right? I wasn't privy to it. But that is how I felt in that moment, hence my lack of compliance in that room. Most people can tell you I don't typically share the same all marshals bad. There may be things I disagree with. I think Springfield here is a solid example of someone who I can engage in conversation with, when I do have problems or feel that there are better ways, that we can sort things out. Am I ever going to stay quiet about stuff? Typically not. I'm typically a firm believer in, expressing concerns that I have. Primarily because
I would be in
no
great
one
shape.
should ever really be surprised.
Wait a minute.
About.
Hold on. You're right, chat. 1 second. I forgot. We have to bring it back. Give me a second. Thank you for the gentle reminder.
Hey man, where's the job site going to be next week?
Grab the controller.
Shit. I'm going to spend half my day in traffic on the Elysian Fields Freeway. I'm just saying, I don't want to end up peeing in my coffee cup again.
Stuff,
I'll see you
if
there,
that makes sense. Yeah, that's.
Fuck you,
I just wanted y'all to know how I felt in that situation.
We got to bring back
hopefully
the
stuff like that can be avoided moving forward.
I understand.
walking interrogations.
Just so Springfield is a little bit clued in, do you mind just giving her a brief summary of kind of your position on the matter in your own words, so I don't kind of mix anything up?
I think Springfield will likely be aware that I'm of the mindset that the mayor cannot fire a chief of police. That the mechanical arm of them doing so is an impeachment. I technically, I say technically, but like announced that Pred was the assistant chief of police, but it was a collective discussion of a demotion with him.
What?
He was then given.
We need to know
keys
who.
by me. I will make that clear, but to clarify,
we need to talk to all the
specifically on
shift one
basis that
folks. I wanted to
legally
do
there is
that.
no additional suspension.
Then we got busy.
At
I
least
need
to
to
the best
talk
of my
about that.
knowledge.
We need to get those interrogations in the morning.
What else? He bought a firearm. He bought other PD equipment. The way current legislation is written is kind of tricky regarding firearms and law enforcement officers, primarily because in legislation I don't know the exact wording, but essentially if you're a law enforcement officer, you qualify. It's listed as one of the exemptions. But more specifically, the government issued firearm charges make zero mention of a license, which is also no bueno. Did I cover most things? Might be missing something.
Springfield, do you have any questions based on that?
I'm sure I'll come up with some. I'm trying to. I'm sorry for interrupting. So I know
You're good.
already in the flow of things.
You're good.
I guess just why try to hide it?
There
from
was
us about the
zero.
Pred thing?
Okay, I will not agree with the sentiment that it was hidden. I will
Bullshit.
say I did not specifically go to a marshal.
Or a
But
member
I'm
of the
not kidding when I say
judiciary.
this. I mentioned. Well, I gave marshals. Gosh, was it anywhere from like 5 to 7 days? I don't remember the date of the exact ruling, because again, I was anticipating that the impeachment would come. When it didn't, I promise you when I say there was zero attempt at hiding this from anyone. Again, did I go out of my way to specifically speak with a marshal? No, and I probably should have.
The thing is, we already have statements
But
from
I have told this
a shitload
to
of
so many
LSPD
different
command.
people. I have said it during meetings. I have said it. I've told people in damn traffic stops.
Okay.
You say you said it during meetings, but from what I understand, you had a meeting with command and specifically told them, I'm telling you this in confidence and hope that it doesn't leave this room. To the point where even someone I'm very close with wouldn't tell me. They said, I'm sorry, I can't tell you.
Oh,
Because
shit!
I was kept in strict confidence.
You know, I do respect Remy.
No way! Wait!
So there
No!
was
All
a
the people
command
that came
meeting.
and told me it wasn't Remy.
Oh,
All the people that came
shit!
to me.
I know.
Yo!
Well, hold on.
Yo! No, he didn't!
I think
Yo!
the person who was unwilling to
Remy
tell you
needs to transfer
was
after
Remy.
that.
And the reason I'm not going to say I know that, but that I feel that that is true is because post-meeting, you and Remy were hanging out with each other. And then additionally,
Wait!
later that day,
No!
I then got pulled into a command meeting with concerns regarding everything. And I
Yo!
expressed the exact same thing to them.
Yo, nah!
I told them, you know,
Wait,
exactly what the
now he's
intent
witch
was.
hunting, bro. Yo, this is crazy. Yo, no way. You know, here's the thing, though. It wasn't actually Remy. I don't think Remy was one of them. TBH. Yo, this is gonna be spicy.
Not everyone was the biggest fan of said idea, but I'm not looking at just like the now. I'm very much looking at ensuring that these things are, you know, these loopholes or potential misunderstandings of currently written legislation are cleared up. Because I was in the BCSO when there literally was a rotating sheriff every 90 days, which is atrocious. I would argue that a consistent bad chief of police is better than a rotating high command every 90 days. even if every 90 days the person picked as sheriff or chief of police is not a good pick, or even is the best pick. Primarily because there's zero stability. And if anyone knows me, they know I've been talking about this for well over a year. But zero people, including Turner, love the guy. Very disappointed he never challenged it. And it wasn't for the purpose of getting his job back. It was for the purpose of ensuring that moving forward, PD doesn't have to deal with the rotating high command every 90 days. When we have Carmela, apparently it was a joke, but previously openly stating that if she gets mayor, she's going to make Alana the chief of police, someone who's practically on the verge of being fired. It's very concerning. And I don't mean fired because, like, you know, like fired on the basis of just not doing her job properly.
So I want to step back to what you said a moment ago. You had the conversation with Pred. He
Which one?
agreed to the demotion, right, to assistant chief of police, and then you issued him keys.
Yeah, but again, I don't want the. I don't really like the idea of getting caught up on the giving of keys portion. Because
Why?
Legally, the suspension was technically over. It had been concluded in court.
But at the time that the keys were reissued, you were in a position to terminate him for the felony criminal conviction.
Rip.
Uh,
I don't. Now he's not gonna remember.
You'd already had the conversation
depends
with
on
him
how
about
you
the
look.
demotion.
Yeah.
So why not just terminate him and not issue him keys at that point? It had already been however many days.
Well,
Why
actually,
wait that long?
No. So, maybe on a technicality, if we get into semantics, possibly. But
This whole
when his
conversation
keys
has
were
been about
handed back,
semantics Rhoades.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's going to be the only thing that ever fucking clarifies the legislation. Do you think I want a loophole to exist where currently written PD-related stuff makes zero mention for firearms of a license?
But if you want to get on a technicality, he did have a weapons license as soon as you gave him keys.
Well, that's just if you reference legislation, that's just how it's written. If you're on or off duty and you're a law enforcement officer, you have one.
Which is conflicting because the weapons legislation specifically says this is not authorizing you to carry
Exactly.
these items.
And I did bring up the conflict with Angel, and I believe she's in the process of trying to address the on or off duty. I suspect the off duty is for like edge cases of, say, I don't know. I don't even want to say undercover, but like potentially undercover or in the process of signing off duty at mission. You know what I mean? Not you're going to hold on to this shit until, you know, like until you're caught with it. And then we're going to be like, oh, hey, look at legislation. Additionally, Pred stuff was put into his locker. I want to say it was within the hour of purchasing everything. And hours before he was fired.
Yeah, but now Pred's gonna get charged with more crime. Like,
I'm just
quite
going based on memory
literally,
on that one.
Pred is now gonna get charged.
but-
And now we have to do it
I still
because of
don't
what Rhoades
understand why
did,
issue
and
him
including
keys
with
rather
this
than terminate.
interrogation. We can't not do it. Because
I've already said
Rhoades
it.
is advocating that you need to do everything
you were
to
in
the
the
fucking
why
most
wait that
pedantic
long to reissue
shit
keys?
level. And
Because
so,
the agreement of him being
Rhoades is screwed too.
Pushed down to assistant chief of police was it's like to assume that like this conversation happened and it's kind of like this all-in-one thing.
This is the problem with bad faith conversations
is not
where it's just
very-
like Pred
it's not
should
very
be chief.
practical. Like, while yes, it was in short proximity of each other, it wasn't all
And
simultaneous.
Everything else is bending over backwards to come up with a reason
putting
as
that
to
at the
why
fair.
it's okay.
Yeah,
After
I
he
mean,
choked
if
out
we're-
EMS.
Well, that's a little difficult. But if I'm having a conversation with you, discussing exactly how we're going to, how we're going to do
And then when we
this.
push it, it's gonna be like, oh no, the marshals, man, they can't
all
stop
just happen right
targeting
then and there.
Pred. And it's like, okay.
There's time for these things to play out. And then again, the moment the impeachment went up and I was made aware and he was resuspended, he was fired. While also ass chief at that time.
Do you see how going through with that action and planning it ahead of time and having these meetings with command members and literally everybody but the marshals, which is the one group you wanted to actually do something about it, going through with that action rather than just talking to us and asking us to do that, do you see how that could be looked at as operating in bad faith?
Oh, good question.
No. Can I see? Yes. I'm not going to sit here in front. However, I just expected it to happen. I
don't know which
violent felony.
I'd rather have, the lying or the actual ignorance.
I was genuinely surprised that didn't happen.
Both are extremely bad. Because it's saying...
So why not ask? Why not?
You're either saying that this is all bullshit...
I was... Quite frankly, I was...
Or he's
literally just
arguing
waiting for it
that
to
he's too
happen.
incompetent.
In all the time you had all the conversations, mentioned this on multiple traffic
Okay,
stops.
but then,
all these
but
different people.
you're in order
Why
to
not
lie,
just
you're presenting
ask?
yourself as incompetent. Then
I don't get it.
I should have.
You're destroying like your person for someone else. Like this is like,
but I didn't.
Like, my ex lying to the cops because I ran a red light and she didn't want me to get a ticket.
Don't get me wrong, I'm a big supporter.
Like, oh my God, I had a period, I swear.
People.
And she didn't actually or something.
I don't think quitting.
And it was just getting out. And the cops just like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Like, it was all over the place and it was worried that I needed to get, have dinner reservations and like the blood was, and they're just like, yo, bro, just fucking go. And you're like, thanks, babe.
Genuine, honest opinion.
It probably would have been a warning.
I did not see PC in the injunction.
Yeah,
hearing.
and I was ovulating. I was like hoping we get
opinion.
pregnant. And like, oh my God, like, it's just like, cops just like,
specific to
like, just like, whoa, bro.
Because I was gone for an hour of it. In addition, I'm not privy to any of the depositions. Genuinely surprised that didn't happen.
So why not ask? Why not? Why not just ask?
I was, quite frankly, I was literally just waiting for it to happen.
What do you mean I'm a plus size? I'm not fat.
In all the time you had all the conversations, mentioned this on multiple traffic stops to all these different people, why not just ask? I don't get it.
I should have.
Well, fuck you then. Bye.
But I didn't.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a big supporter of still impeaching people even if they quit. I don't think quitting should be a dodge of an impeachment.
I also agree.
Okay, well,
do you believe there were probable cause for
still
the
got to
charges
do
that
it
were
though.
pressed against Kyle Pratt?
Oh. Genuine, honest opinion. I did not see PC in the injunction hearing. That is my honest opinion, and I cannot tell you specific to the court case because I was gone for an hour of it. In addition, I'm not privy to
doesn't matter.
any of the
Docket?
depositions that occurred. So
It doesn't matter. It's on the docket.
I can't really answer that question.
Yes, you can answer that question if you have
Do you mind if I ask
such
you
a
question
strong
on this one?
opinion as the chief of police,
question I've asked
and
a
you
lot
can't
of
do the bare
officers who
basic
say
to
that
open
they
up the
don't think there was
docket.
PC for the
That
charge.
in and of itself is an issue.
If the consideration was that he did it, what evidence is missing that would have gotten you to PC?
Okay, so I guess my point of contention with the original PC and the injunction hearing stemmed from the fact that while there is evidence, that being the medical
Galaxy, 4
report,
months.
none of that points to Fred.
This is like criminal defense
Then what
attorney Grayson
evidence
shit.
could have been gotten to get you to agree that PC is there?
Actually, wait. The depositions occur before the PC hearing, or no?
No.
No.
Okay.
Probable cause is just more likely than not.
Then I would
He's
argue...
making shit up on the spot.
And again, maybe I'm just not privy to everything that occurred.
It's
but
on the
additional,
docket!
Witness statements indicating that Kyle Pred was there, or someone had witnessed, the situation, someone uninvolved.
Do you know what
So a
probable
witness that didn't
cause is?
exist.
Well, I'm not going to say a witness that didn't exist.
Because we had a victim statement. That's your first-hand witness.
Correct.
This happened in private between two individuals. So you're saying that it should be okay. We shouldn't be able to charge people unless there's a third witness. That is the only evidence possible. So as long as you commit these crimes in private, you're golden to get away.
Well, I
that's
mean,
not an evidence
Springfield,
that exists.
let's be honest. That's exactly how life works, unfortunately.
What?
Oftentimes, we deal with situations where there just isn't sufficient
Okay, but there was additional evidence.
We all know, and we all refer to it as a he said, she said.
I am so glad Blood handled this. I think I would have killed the Rhoades in this. I think I would have shot him for the state.
The injunction hearing went.
Rhoades Knight would have crashed out on him.
But as long as one party gets their medical report reaffirming whatever it is that occurred, that's sufficient. And I find that to be problematic.
So this actually works because,
He
like,
said, she said, that's 50-50, right? It could be either way or the other. Then you add one piece of evidence that says it happened.
I know you're going to say it's the last 1%. I think that's a very slippery slope. I think
why
that's
you can't just
dangerous.
say slippery slope? You can't make this argument when you're saying you're ignorant of what was on the docket.
Forehead shot on the ground.
These are all
with a
like
gun.
extreme hypotheticals. The amount of time taken to take this interview, yet you haven't read the fucking docket?
Springfield shot me and ran into that house.
Oh my God, straw
and
man.
goes to the hospital. And there's a medical report indicating he's been shot.
Brother.
Like, do you see the slippery slope of the nature of what we're doing there? I think that's very dangerous.
I can't believe
also have a witness
these
that
are
says that they saw Springfield
these are
walking away
statements
from
of
the
a
body.
sane law enforcement officer.
Okay, but then we're going back to a witness that didn't exist.
No, there were multiple witnesses that confirmed that Pred and the EMS were the only two individuals in that room.
Oh my God.
There was no third person. It was only those two. So there's two scenarios, that one of which is more likely than not. Either Pred strangled that EMS or the EMS strangled himself, which was their argument. Respectfully, one of those is very clearly more likely than the other.
And that's what gets you to probable cause, to the point where you bring it to court and they have to testify against each other. And you compare the testimonies against the physical evidence versus the timeline and everything, and make a decision based off that. What's the most reasonable possibility here?
I just want to take a bite out of you, baby, and dip your ass in peanut butter.
I mean, listen, I 1,000% get what you're saying.
No, you don't.
What I can assure you,
I would have made him read the
is
docket
that
in front of me.
99 out of 100 situations that we deal with,
we need the ability to detain law enforcement.
Not challenging.
Like, I think we're gonna go and arrest Rhoades in the next 48 hours.
We're not pushing for the.
I'm gonna wait till Blunt's back.
How do I best word this?
Most of our charges,
I'll word it.
we charge
If
on
Blunt pulls me
pretty
back
close
on it,
to
sure, but I think I'm gonna.
I mean,
we're
we
gonna
have
arrest
to, right?
him.
Because
After I heard all this,
I was telling people this.
you can appeal it later.
A lot of people failed to realize that the threshold that we have to hit to make an arrest, PC. However, the moment The moment it goes in front
I've
of a
heard
judge,
enough.
you then have to, for the conviction, push for beyond a reasonable doubt. And ultimately, also, and 99 times out of 100, stuff never gets put in front of a judge. And I think people become a little too comfortable.
You
with the
know
threshold
you
of
can
PC.
do it. You didn't even
Because
put
that's
it.
when you oftentimes run into people struggling or like having quite a bit of issue with, well, did we do this? Did we
Brother,
do that? And
I
then they
want
start to realize, well, how the fuck are we going to serve
Brian
this to a judge?
wants to put a gun
And
in
they
his
all
mouth
bent out
and
of
pull the
shape when
trigger.
things don't go their way.
I'm dying.
Because again,
And it's not
for the
because I'm doing
conviction,
cardio while
beyond a
listening to
reasonable
this.
doubt, it's no longer just probable cause. So yeah, I can agree that there are I'm not gonna. Sorry, I have a cough drop. And if I'm not downing cough drops like hard candy, I will continuously have a coughing fit.
Yeah, what flavor
So
is
I do
it?
apologize.
Pred's fucking dick.
So I will definitely say that there is definitely a sort of teachable aspect of court that certainly needs to be done. Unfortunately, court is not everyone's forte. A lot of people despise it. And it's not really great for the PD because realistically, when we are pushing charges, we really should already have stuff beyond a reasonable doubt.
No, we
Or be
don't.
able to prove
What?
it beyond a reasonable
Shut
doubt.
up.
Because
Bitch
the
slap.
likelihood that you're
Boom.
going to gain much else outside of what you currently have at the beginning is
This
fairly
guy
slim in
hasn't
the
gone
grand
to
scheme of
court
things,
in God
unless you
knows
are
how
dealing
long.
with
He's
a
about to
specific
learn.
Group of individuals who are willing to speak to the police.
Brian
And
is
while
sick
that's
of people
likely with
talking about how
EMS,
court is, what
PD,
plea deals are,
doctors,
yet they barely write
that
reports,
is
haven't gone to
considerably
court
more
themselves,
unlikely
haven't
when dealing
written
with
plea
gang
deals.
members.
I mean, fuck, I came back and I got 3
Never mind, a bit
huts,
of a rant there. I do
including the
apologize.
Cypress raid,
No, you're fine.
and then the weed raid off Grove, all in 30 days.
Just kind of getting back on trail here. With all the folks you mentioned you had conversations with, did you have a conversation on this topic with the mayor?
Oh, if I recall correctly, I want to say one of your questions was like before or after.
Oh yeah, we soloed the 4X
I
murder
spoke
with
him
Hydra too.
after,
That is true.
making Pred the assistant chief of police.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with him prior to?
I don't remember exactly. What I can say is that I was present. I was next to him when I think it was you, at least it was told to me that it was you, had called him and indicated that Kyle Pred needed to be announced as having been fired.
What cardio am I doing? Just
Okay.
jogging
I
at 3
recall
point.
with the mayor.
Jogging
where
at
I asked him
between
whether
doing
he intended
it's 2.5 to 3.5
remove Pred
miles an
and
hour.
replace him with a new chief of
Something
police,
like-
or if an impeachment needed to be filed. To which he responded that he
Mix
was
in between
intending to
walking
remove
and
him
jogging.
replace him, which was then nearly immediately followed by the announcement that you had been appointed to the role of chief of police. Is that a conversation?
Yeah, I got
Sounds
a-
likely.
referring to? Okay.
I mean, again,
I got one of these too.
Was obviously not privy to the exact discussion had. I just know that there was, based upon what was told to me, a conversation from you to Denzel.
Was Denzel's impression at that point, once he had appointed you chief of police, that Pred was no longer hired with the police department?
No, it was very much so. Like Rhoades, you're the chief of police.
Okay.
What
Did
the
you
fuck is the
indicate
call
to
chat?
him your opinion that Pred was still your co-chief of police?
Did I actively
Keep
say that
forgetting
in
the
the
name.
moment? No.
At any point
No.
did you indicate that to him?
Possibly. However, I've had multiple conversations with damn near every mayor that we've ever had. Specifically, Danger, Denzel, Roselle, Dawn. Who was before Dawn? If you can pretty much think of the last 3 mayors of each county, I've likely had a conversation with every single one of them regarding me firmly believing that they essentially can't appoint unless there's a vacancy.
And did you indicate that to Denzel when he appointed you to that role?
Hell yeah.
In that moment, no. I will say I had discussions prior to with him regarding that.
Before
entirely
or after
unrelated,
Preds?
no, like entirely unrelated to any of the Pred stuff.
Okay. Don't you think it would be important if he appointed you to the role of chief of police that he know that you felt as though you had a co-chief of police? Is that not something worth highlighting or clarifying with him?
I mean, because I had already had those conversations with him.
Approximately how long prior to this
I
situation?
can't give you that answer. I don't know.
Weeks, months? Was Denzel the mayor?
Denzel, actually, because I've had multiple conversations, I can assure you those conversations I believe were had at the very beginning of his term, in addition to when he held some role in the North. I forget what role it was.
Huh?
He had some role in the North, and
He's the mayor.
Had the same conversations with him then.
What? Wait, I forgot. He was the mayor, which means he knew the law.
Again, I haven't exactly been tight-lipped about
you can't
much of any of
this.
This
is another problem.
Unfortunately,
this is reminds me of like
unless brought in front of the DOJ,
soldiers in Iraq claiming that they didn't have to
sounds like you said it
say anything bad that they
except
witnessed,
us and the mayor, like anybody,
and they didn't report it.
What do you mean, or the mayor?
Mattered.
I just told you. I've explained.
But why not
quite
tell
a few
him
times
in that moment or after the fact at any point? When it was actually relevant in the moment to an actual situation, not just a hypothetical.
I did remove bones.
Honestly, it's possible that I did have those conversations, but to remember every conversation I've had, I can't sit here and pinpoint, exactly when.
Would you be surprised to hear that the mayor was completely unaware of your intention to do this?
Sorta, kinda. Actually.
Oh my God.
Because you expected somebody else to tell him, or because you told him?
Yo!
What do you mean?
Yo!
I mean, you say you're surprised he knew nothing about it. How did you expect him to learn about it if you didn't tell him?
Good shit.
Because I've had, again, multiple conversations specific to
so
me
he doesn't
not
remember, bro. Fucking what the Donald Trump fucking responses is this?
And you didn't say
he's a great mayor. I don't remember specifics though.
This eventually goes to court, and we get clarity, and it stops happening moving forward.
No. This is like the congressional hearing with
and take it to court.
with the FBI
I
director.
Unfortunately wouldn't exactly have standing unless I am removed or not removed, but someone else be appointed. At this point, the only person that does would be Pred.
When they were talking about the files and shit and some of the non-answers.
Being appointed to a role you didn't feel you had the position, the authority, or the right under legislation to hold, due to the fact that it would inherently require the removal of the prior chief of police, how would you not have standing to bring that matter before a court of law? You're a party directly involved.
I think that's very much so a double-edged sword.
Oh my God, it's a
Doing
slippery
it for the
slope.
purpose of getting myself removed, I think, is a little problematic. When someone like Fred can do it and there be no change in current chain of command.
Well, it sounds like you want all this change, but you don't want to do any of the work yourself to actually effectuate it. You just
Yes!
Blunt, I'm going to be as respectfully as possible.
Shut the fuck up. Slap.
Especially after the statement you just gave.
Oh, shut up.
It is
Don't.
not
Now
my
you're in your
job
feels.
to do yours.
What?
Your lack of his impeachment is your problem, not mine.
You just spent 40 minutes bitching about how there's no answers to anything, and now you got called out.
The issues that you touch on, though, go so much further than just one
Yes!
impeachment for removal.
Yo,
from
Blunt
office.
is
We're
way
talking
too nice.
about legislative changes about a multitude of issues, that there's multiple different ways that they can be approached rather than, respectfully, the pettiest option possible.
I wouldn't even deem it the pettiest option. You
What
know
is
damn
pettier
well
than
none of
this?
this gets. You know damn well none of the shit ever gets reviewed unless put in front of a judge.
What?
With the exception being
That's
some
not
more
true.
recent legislation. And I want to say when we were
What
originally
is
approached by
he?
the
He's
DOJ,
making it up.
it was under.
You can
the,
audit it. You can push a bill. You
like
can.
if you see typos or stuff in
Huh?
legislation, let us know. Not hey,
Bro,
we're
I feel
considering
like
full-on
LSPD
legislative
High
change,
Command is so
purchase of what you
disjointed
have.
from anything
Had I
that
been at those
happens
legislative meetings
that they
happen on
should be
Tuesdays or
nowhere
whenever
near
it
High
is,
Command. There's no way.
unfortunately
How
not.
are you a
Kind of,
cop
outside
for
of my
2.5 years
typical
and not
schedule.
know that you
But
can audit?
It doesn't change the fact that I want this shit to change. Honestly, some things have kind of just
There
crept
is.
up
How do you say
and have,
this?
you know, sort of reared
Like
their head
you
as
should
all
be
of this was
nowhere near
happening.
a badge, let alone High Command.
The legislation for weapons related stuff,
bro. You can't
has
just
barely
bitch about it.
changed.
You can
And
change it
despite that,
yourself.
there is very much no conflict in the wording of the charges, in addition to how the legislation's written.
And to say you have to wait for it goes to DOJ.
Am I going to sit here and
Literally,
pretend to be the
made it.
legislation fucking know-it-all? Absolutely the fuck not. There is way too much fucking legislation, and it frustrates the fuck out of me.
Then why don't you change it, pussy?
But sort of the hand dealt to us, and you know, I'm not a perfect person, but I'm trying my best.
No,
to
but
try
you're
to make
definitely a
sure
dumb one.
that some of these now glaring issues, or some issues that have been glaring for a very long time, hopefully get addressed. And one again, I'm sorry, I sort of went off earlier, but
no, you
sometimes
got
it's how
called
you word
out.
questions that make it seem as though you are. I'm not going to say innocent because there's no guilt or innocence here, okay? But it's almost coming from like a perspective of
that is insane. Yeah, I got
I'm
offended
above
because
you, and
it's,
again, I get
we
the
are
positioning
above
of the
you
marshals.
for this
Really, I
very
do.
reason.
But I really think you
You
should
don't even know your own
reconsider
damn
asking
law.
questions like that.
It's the most basic,
Don't wanna tell you how to do
fundamental
your
piece
job,
of our
But I am
system.
letting you know how I feel.
Your feelings have no relevance.
I understand that.
Woo! Woo! Oh, wait, is it pause?
You got anything else?
Oh, there's still more.
No, not for me.
I think I'll end with the last question here. Is there any other information that you believe in good faith?
Your feelings have no place here, slams desk.
We've not spoke about already.
Since I know this is also stuff into Pred, and sort of like the comparison of information that I'm also aware of outside of like the missing magazine, outside of again making it clear that Pred was not rehired. I'm gonna see if there's anything else. I want to say there was something that when I read that question, I thought to myself, this is very important to say, but I think that was with the context of not wanting to put not
motherfucking
applicable to the
LSPD
first
bitches more than
5, 6, 7,
faceless.
8 questions
That's
that indicated he was
crazy.
rehired, just to indicate that Pred was not rehired. Outside of that, I think that covers most things.
Like faceless is like 10% levels of egregiousness.
Yeah, I think
even
that
though
covers
they
most
know when
things.
they get caught. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers spend more time
In that
committing
case,
felonies,
I
cover that
appreciate
shit
the
up than
conversation.
arresting
We'll go ahead
anyone.
and terminate the recording at 2:26 a.m.
Woo!
Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Okay, cool down time. Whew. Hey, thank you for the reminder. We'll do another interrogation reading in a bit. Okay. Let's bring us back to like, oh, I feel like I gunned it near the end there. I've been jogging for at least half of this. I'm trying to get back into working out before a stream. And so if my streams start late, it's because I didn't work out yet. Because I realized, like, listen, 5.0 is coming out sometime. Like, I gotta get back into the cycle of working out. So like this week is just gonna be like stretching and doing, you know, hits and like light lifting, and then slowly working up, you know, prevent injury. I'm just all right. Back down. Okay. Woo!
Why'd you step on me, asshole?
That was good.
Hey, what's up, Woo?
I'm gonna be 41.
Because I just blessed the nasty turtle figures from Thor Toys.
Whew.
Collector's item. Now I have the whole set.
Oh fuck, Nakota already went off duty. Bunch of things have been added to this. Take a look. I did see some of this. These are some good updates.
I don't know what it is, but talent can just relax around me. I'm totally on rapport with the artistes. Whatever.
Hello?
Um.
I met this girl last night. And she was like, "Wow,
So
you're
like
actually
a totally
cute."
important
Kinda
filmmaker.
surprised.
This totally needs to hear the story like right fucking now.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God.